Live from our studios here in Kpone, also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 105. This is News Today. I am Emefa Akosiadati, and in the news this afternoon, momentum built around calls for the government to declare a state of emergency in areas devastated by illegal mining as University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, insists on shutting down public universities. But the Deputy CEO of EPA warns declaring a state of emergency in mining areas could trigger a bloodbath between military and illegal miners.
So if we take in guns here, we are going to have a bloodbath. That is one thing I can tell you for sure. It's easy for you to sit somewhere and say, impose a state of emergency.
Also in the news today, IEA poll rekindles debate on electing district chief executives as latest survey reveals most Ghanaians prefer metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to be elected, with over 63% favoring a non-partisan process. And as well in the bulletin, 3 students of the Tamale Technical University sustained various degrees of injuries following a violent clash with police during a protest on campus. We'll take you on ground live as well. We've got these and more in the bulletin in the next 60 minutes. Join us, independent, fearless and credible. Please stay for details. Thank you for tuning in this afternoon. First, this afternoon, pressure on President John Mahama is mounting as calls grow louder for him to declare a state of emergency in areas devastated by illegal mining, locally known as Galamsey. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, is escalating the demand, warning that public universities could be brought to a standstill in the coming days if decisive action is not taken. UTAG President Professor Mamudu Akudugu, speaking to Joy News, said the association is prepared to take a firm and final decision at the biennial conference to move that could plunge the tertiary education sector into crisis. But first, let's hear from government spokesperson Felix Kwachiofosu on yesterday's Super Morning Show, saying President Mahama has not entirely ruled out declaring a state of emergency.
On the matter of state of emergency, you are right. The president said that there are conventional approaches that are currently being deployed that he believes would help us achieve the objective of wiping out this canker once and for all. And that when it becomes necessary, a state of emergency may be declared. The reason being that a state of emergency is a pretty severe measure. I'm sure you are fully aware. It essentially means that you set aside laws as they are and adopt extraordinary, sometimes very harsh, very drastic measures in order to beat back a particular problem. It comes with its own difficulties, and therefore the declaration of same must be based on tangible reasoning. You must have sufficient basis to do that, so that you are very clear that the consequences that will result will be worth the effort. And as president, you do know that he has to take that decision on the basis of information available to him and what he perceives to be the capabilities of the assets that he has deployed to fight this canker. He believes earnestly that currently some gains are being made that could be sustained, and as and when we get to a stage where it is absolutely necessary to deploy those measures, that will create some discomfort for ordinary citizens and may involve measures that may not necessarily be in tandem with the way that our laws should function and all that. He will take the decision as later. So let me say that he has not ruled out a state of emergency. He just believes that we need to give ourselves a bit more time.
Before we listen to the UTAG president, my colleague Kofi Ajay, lead data analyst here at Joy News, joined me in studio with what really is a state of emergency. I'm certain that you may have heard it, a word that we have used so much, both in the news or even in your homes. Today, we get to know exactly what it says. What is the state of emergency?
Well, so we'll take you to the 1992 Constitution, right from Article 30 to somewhere about 33. That explains the state of emergency, the rights of citizens and what the president can actually do in that instance. When there's a natural disaster or any circumstance where the president feels that he needs to use an unconventional ways to solve that problem, the Constitution grants the president that power to declare state of emergency. And so within 72 hours after the president declares that state of emergency, he needs to submit a declaration to Parliament where they have to go through and approve it. And the law says that within 7 days, if Parliament doesn't sit to approve this state of emergency, which definitely starts from the president, it ceases to be a state of emergency. So it means that the president has to start it with the advice from the Council of State. Parliament must approve it by one-third, majority of Parliament, which in this instance, the NDC administration has more than 2/3 to declare any state of emergency, which means that Parliament plays an important role here. And the law says that even when the president declares that state of emergency, Parliament, from time to time, can review this state of emergency. And if they feel that it needs to be revoked, they will come in to make that, declaration based on 1/3, majority in terms of votes. And the law says that when the state of emergency is accepted, it lasts for about 3 months. The president can't go back to Parliament again and say that, well, I need some form of extension, and that can be approved if he gets 1/3, of the votes in Parliament. The law also says that, well, the president can curtail all rights, but not the right to human dignity, and then also to take government to court. That right has been enshrined in the Constitution and has been reserved. And in a state of emergency, the president cannot revoke those rights. Human dignity, very important here. So people are saying that, well, if you declare a state of emergency, you can go ahead, shoot to kill. That in itself is also under human dignity. And the question is, will the president's hands be tied if he declares a state of emergency, looking at the fact that the Constitution grants, citizens that kind of right, and it cannot even be touched under a state of emergency. So declaring it must start from the president. He has to take it to Parliament, and within 72 hours, Parliament must approve. But if Parliament doesn't, in 7 days, that state of emergency will cease to exist. And if within 3 months, the president must go back to Parliament to revise it for it to still work.
But quickly, you mentioned two things. Some things that could have the president trigger a state of emergency. You said what, natural disasters and
or any instance that could threaten the national security of the country. And in this case, many are saying that illegal mining, which is now an environmental crime, is a threat to the existence of Ghana, and that's why they are calling for the state of emergency.
Thank you so much, Kofi. Always amazing. Well, let's get more reaction on this from coordinator of Eco-Conscious Ghana, Awula Sewa, joining us via Zoom. Thank you for joining us. So, maybe we would have brought you what the deputy EPA boss said, but I just give you that because we brought it to our headline. It says that it can amount to a bloodbath if the president declares emergency. What's your reaction to this?
How would it amount to a bloodbath? I am struggling to understand how it amount to a bloodbath. A state of emergency is not a shoot and kill. It's just giving you extra powers. You can declare your forest reserve security zones. Nobody should be there. It just allows you to maybe restrict more movement, have all the resources you need to go and do what you need to do, which is removing the environmental criminals from our forest reserves, our water bodies, and our farmland. Why would it be a bloodbath? I really don't understand how it would be a bloodbath. And if we don't want to do it, then why did we in opposition agree to declare a state of emergency? I honestly don't think it would be a bloodbath. Nobody is asking for a shoot and kill policy. We're not in the jungle. But it's to give the government the extra powers they need to deal decisively with this problem, because we face an ecological disaster and we need to act now before the window of opportunity closes.
Well, so the president, in replying that specific question from my colleague Kujo Yankson, said that they have other means to which they can achieve the needed results without having to declare a state of emergency. What do you say to this as well?
Fantastic. If you have those, what are you waiting for? We face existential threat. People are dying. Our water is being poisoned. When you are drinking the water now, do you know what kind of chemicals are being put in to make sure that it's clear? We are sitting on a time bomb. So if you have other measures you can use, what are you waiting for? To see Ghanaians dropping dead? Then do it. But as we stand now, the forest reserves we say we are taking over, they've been reclaimed. 60% of our water bodies have been poisoned. And, we've faced a dire situation. So if you've got something to do, do it now. Let's not wait for every Ghanaian to be dropping dead.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the news. But here is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Authority saying that it could amount to a bloodbath.
It's easier said than done that declare state of emergency, go there with guns and shoot it. 2-3 years ago, we would have said, okay, it's Chinese financing illegal mining. And then you had businessmen and politicians going in. Now what we are increasingly seeing is community involvement in illegal mining. Every day in my office, I get people coming to report to me, come to our community. Then the end game is, can you talk to them so that they also allow us to do some of the mining? So if we take in guns here, we are going to have a bloodbath. That is one thing I can tell you for sure. It's easy for you to sit somewhere and say, impose a state of emergency, send in the military and let them do the job. But I can tell you, everybody calling for the state of emergency.
They don't know what they are calling for.
They don't know what they are calling for because the cost of human life there is going to be enormous that we may not even, in the end Galamsey, we may end up having a conflict growing out of it.
Taking now to Professor Akudugu, how he reiterated that UTAG will decide on shutting down public universities as outlined in the July 17, 2025 statement.
We believe that something drastic has to take place for us to be able to effectively deal with this phenomenon. And so whatever we said, we still stand by it. We are having our biennial congress just the end of the month. And so a final decision as to how to proceed will be made on that point.
We are sure that there should be drastic decision, and a drastic decision include you holding on to your shutdown of public universities.
Correct. Have you heard of the water shortage in the central region? The University of Kpone is not exempted from that shortage. The pollution and all the health implications associated with Galamsey. University lecturers and students are not exempted from that. So this is a matter of life and death. And so it is when you are healthy and you are alive that you'll be thinking about going to school. We're thinking about being able to learn and be able to focus. That aside, if you look at it, we are the people who train, at least at the last end of the human resource. We are the funnel or the gatekeepers. And we train our students in environmental sustainability and all the rest of it. So how do we continue? What am I going to tell my students about preserving the environment at this point in time when the environment is being destroyed at the rate that will put all of us at risk?
The Catholic Bishops' Conference has echoed the call demanding that President Mahama declare a state of emergency in the areas hardest hit by Galamsey. In a strongly worded statement, the bishops described the destruction of rivers, forests and farmlands as a grave sin against God, warning that it poses an existential threat to Ghana's future.
Strongly worded pastoral message signed by the president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, Most Reverend Matthew Kwesi Gyamfi, the bishops warned that Galamsey, quote, ravages our rivers and forests, poisons our soil, endangers public health, corrupts governance, erodes our moral fiber, and extinguishes livelihoods. They stressed that the situation is not a routine challenge to be managed with half measures. Rather, it is a national emergency requiring decisive, extraordinary responses. The bishops described the scale of environmental devastation as a profound betrayal of humanity's sacred duty to care for creation. Citing alarming figures, they noted that rivers such as the Pra and Cobra, Brim, and Ayensu are laced with mercury and other toxic effluents, with Ayensu registering turbidity level of 32,000 NTU compared to the Ghana Water Limited's maximum treatment threshold of 2,500 NTU. They also condemned the human toll and social rot associated with illegal mining. According to the conference, the government's response has been slow and inadequate despite repeated appeals.
Away from illegal mining, residents of Kpone in the Kpone municipality on Monday staged a demonstration to demand improved infrastructure and basic services. The protesters cited poor road networks, water scarcity, and a lack of development projects as some of their major challenges confronting the community. They accused successive governments of neglect, noting that the Tema oil refinery, Kpone Road, has been under construction for more than 17 years without completion. The residents further complained that the situation has worsened unemployment among the youth and contributed to a rise in respiratory-related illness in the area. Carrying placards and chanting slogans, demonstrators called on authorities to immediately address their concerns. Some of the protesters who spoke to Adum News said they feel abandoned despite the community's contribution to national developments.
We deserve better. See, my wife is a midwife. It came to a point people were losing their lives because of the bad nature of the road. You understand? Let's say when emergency happens right now, from here to General, you lose your better road. We deserve better road.
Land boundaries, the boundaries of the land where we are having from the new town. We want the government to look at that. So that those things can be solved amicably. We have
Now, last Thursday, my colleague Collins Frimpong was on the 17-kilometer stretch from the Kpone barrier to the Central University campus at Mutual. Here's what he gathered.
The 17-kilometer stretch linking Kpone barrier and the Central University campus on the Temaplau Road is scheduled for completion in 18 months after works resumed on April 7, 2025. More than a year after stalling in December 2022, but progress now hangs in the balance as government is yet to reinstate a $105 million loan facility for the project's completion. Client Relations Manager of BHM International Construction, Wisdom Adonu, spoke with Joy News.
Well, funding, we are still waiting for the funds to be, the loan to be reinstated. In the meantime, we are working in good faith based on the Minister's assurance in April, and we are committed to delivering this project on time as soon as the loan has been reinstated.
After 5 months, the $105 million loan that we are requesting that will be reinstated has not been done. Are there any risk should you not get it in time?
Well, currently we are confident that as the discussions are going on, the loan will be reinstated in time for us to execute the project. But then the longer it delays, it will make things more difficult for the contractor to be able to do his job per the contract demands.
So can that delay the completion of the project or even maybe suspending it again?
Well, executing project like this needs funds. So without the funds, the project will be starved, and I believe that will make life difficult.
So far, visible improvements have eased traffic. What was once a grueling 3-hour drive between Kpone barrier and the Dowenya has reduced significantly, thanks to newly expanded lanes, now partially open to motorists.
I
travel this route regularly from here to Pram Pram. It used to take me about 3 hours just to get to Dowenya, but now I do it in about an hour.
Yeah.
In fact, almost because the best contractors are.
The contractors are really doing well. They've come a long way with the work, and I believe by next year, this road will be completely transformed.
Drivers and allied transport workers took to the streets of Accra today to stage a major demonstration against the alleged takeover of lands designated for lorry stations by private investors. Now, the protest, which caused severe traffic disruption across the city, ended with a petition to the government to protect public transport infrastructure and safeguard the livelihoods of drivers and traders. Stephen Mensah monitored the protests for Joy News, and this is what he's captured.
Yeah, assassin, yeah, tomorrow. Oh, my good Tom, yeah, Jumanka, says some better, Henny Yanko, Yenny baby, and until I demonstration to no mutu in India.
Mumping for Nenomaka, Musi.
On Yamaka, and it's almost yam lamp front time. Yamla, Mashayan, if you are one and I are present over Shayan. Baby, so we are two this year. Me, baby, I can see a summer.
If government want to release the land for somebody, we will be the first that government will have to contact us. So we and the GPRG, we came together that no, this thing has happened several times, and always they will come and drove all the women, the men away, and that is why you have been seeing a lot of women on the street selling from Swansea Arcade right down to CMB Abuja. So this time round, we say no. If we are market women, are we not Ghanaians? We are educated. Some of us, if we have connections in government, we would have been working with the white, we have a white collar job to do. But for we not having people to support us in our whatever we do, we have to go to the market, put our certificates down somewhere. Me, I am close to my 60s. I'm 51. I have just 9 years to complete from active service. So I cannot go back to the white collar job. So this is what I'll do to feed my kids. Government officials, President John Mahama, please, we are your women. Your wife is a woman. You have a daughter who will also become a woman. I know they will not come down to our level, but we are still pleading because all the fingers cannot be equal. Those of us who have certificates, if those who are young and they can still employ them, they should employ them.
If you look around, when we say he had an already prepared program, the big push that he's attending to. That's why he couldn't be here. So I want to, on his behalf, apologize to you. And you made a statement that I so love. You said that you want to engage in dialogue and not violence. And in the history that she recounted, she recalled that as far back as 1985, you've occupied the land, and in 1996 for the Containers Association. So there's a history there. So I want to, first of all, say he sees this as very serious, and he will he will attach all the seriousness this deserves. I will go in there and submit it. Wait for the Chief Justice. When they come, then I'll hand it personally to them, so you know that the President will see your petition and he will attend to it as well. So thank you, first of all, for honoring the President. Thank you for not engaging in violence. And
where 3 students have sustained various degrees of injuries following a violent clash with police during a protest on campus. The students hit the streets to demand improved infrastructure and better conditions of study, accusing authorities of failing to address long-standing challenges at the university. The demonstration, however, turned chaotic when security personnel moved in to disperse the crowd, resulting in the reported injuries. Now, for more on this developing story, my colleague Martina Abugri joins us. Martina, so you say that 3 persons have sustained injuries, and this is because the students went on a protest to demand better study conditions?
Exactly so. 1 person sustained an injury in the leg, and 2 people sustained injuries in the head. And one of the people who sustained injury in the head also sustained injury in the hand. It was a peaceful demonstration. They marched to some chief palaces in the area to present their petition. Whilst they were returning, they blocked the entrance to the school, stopping vehicles from moving in and out. And they started burning tires. That was controlled, and they moved into the campus itself. When they came in, they were burning tires again, and the police was called in. And when they came in, they started exchanging with the students. The police started sprinkling hot water on the students, and then they started firing gunshots. The students in return also started pelting stones. It went on for a while until the leadership of the students moved in to speak to the police that they should step out of the campus. They would be able to manage their own affair. They were able to convince the police to leave, and they were able to also control the crowd. And then they took the media around. Some of the places they complained of, like the washrooms, they complained of being in terrible state, their classrooms, and then some parts of the campus.
Well, Martina, so you say that everything was quite peaceful until they started burning tires. What exactly triggered the burning of tires?
And they said it was part of their protest to show that they were angry. They decided to burn tires as part of the protest. But it wasn't intended to destroy anything or hurt anybody, they say.
And so these injuries that have been sustained by these 3 persons, what are the university authorities saying, or even the police? Did I lose Martina?
Yes, we spoke to the communications director of the university. He says that management.
I hope that I've not lost Martina.
Yes, I am here with you.
Okay, tell me what he said.
To the communications director of the university, says that management is yet to meet, while.
Oh dear. We'll definitely try and bring you the details of that in our subsequent bulletins, but that's what has happened so far. And away from that, a new nationwide poll by the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, has revealed that a majority of Ghanaians want metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives, MMDCs, to be elected on a non-partisan basis. The survey conducted across all 16 regions between August 16 and 26, 2025 shows that 67.9% of respondents prefer that MMDCs be elected rather than appointed. Of this number, 63.5% favor a non-partisan approach, while only 34.7% back partisan elections. The findings come amid renewed debate over the selection of MMDEs following former President John Dramani Mahama's call for non-partisan elections in line with the opposition's National Democratic Congress 2024 manifesto pledge. Now, according to the IEA, public awareness of the current appointment system is relatively high, with 69.6% of respondents saying they know how MMDCs get into office. However, the Institute noted that a little over 30% who also lack knowledge highlight the need for increased civic education. The IEA said the results suggest a lack of public trust in political parties at the local levels, as citizens clearly prefer a system that excludes party politics in local governance. Staying with us, thank you for staying with us here on the news. Now, pressure is mounting on the government to act as fears of a looming maize shortage grow at Accra. Bags of maize are rotting away as farmers struggle to find buyers. Weeks without rain have worsened the situation, leaving farmlands parched and forcing many producers to consider abandoning cultivation for the next season. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku visited the community where farmers are demanding urgent, pragmatic solutions to the crisis and has filed this report.
It's Monday morning at Accra, one of Ghana's largest trading hubs for cereals and grains. From groundnut and beans to rice and maize, the market supplies thousands of households across Ghana and beyond. But in recent times, maize has seen a sharp decline in sales. The fresh maize sells at 500 cedis, and the old ones go for 450. These new prices, coupled with a reclining market sale, are presenting challenges to the maize value chain. The farmers and traders are not enthused as they are seen all over haggling the new prices. Farming is a lifeline of Accra and its surrounding communities. On a scorching afternoon, Idrisu Mumuni and his family are busy drying freshly harvested maize. They spread the grains across a tarpaulin, relying on sun and air to reduce the moisture content. With no storage facilities, the family must rush to package and sell the maize on the next market day. But for Idrisu, the returns hardly match the efforts he invests in production.
The maize business isn't good enough. For rich farmers, they're able to keep theirs. But for us who have no storage facility, we must sell immediately.
After the 2024 dry spell, the price of maize has fallen by more than half, from 1,200 cedis to just 400 cedis on the market. Yet, with production costs soaring, the sharp decline has left many farmers frustrated and delusioned. Ghana experiences a glut of maize during the main crop season from June to September, but despite the bustle and noise of the crowded Accra market, traders say business has been slow and their pockets tell the story.
It looks as if stealing is better than farming. Every time they are talking about cocoa, they would neglect us. Our work is more hectic than the cocoa farmers.
Frustration on the market is preempting the farmers from producing more. While some have opted to hoard the maize at home, others are compelled to leave the heaps of their maize harvest on their farms at the mercy of the weather. Salifu Al-Samin farms on this 40-acre maize plantation.
The ones we sent home, we've not been able to sell it. So there's no reason going to add this one.
I can see they are even rotting away.
Yes, of course. We've covered it because we anticipate there might be rain.
Former Member of Parliament for Ejura, Mohammed Isifu Pangabu, is one of the lead farmers in the community.
No farmer can break even with 400. No farmer.
This year, lots of farmers will lose their...
All farmers are losing. I operate at a loss. So if you don't take time to address it, and we'll lose this year, next year, the farmers will reduce.
As the traders endure the slow market, a pressing concern emerges: delayed rains.
For the past 2 weeks, we have not experienced any major rain.
This is felt on the fields where the soils are drying up already before farmers can plant for the next season. Salifu Al-Samin was fortunate to have started cultivating on his 40-acre farmland.
As you can see, there's a drought. If you look around, farmers have harvested their maize, but yet still they can't plant. Initially, if there was rainfall, if you plant your maize at this time, you are late. We cannot be sitting here without feeding our family. We are not lazy too. We are working.
But until an immediate intervention, these farmers may have to grapple with the poor market sales and struggle to feed the country. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Our traders affected by fire at the Edum Blue Light Market have welcomed a decision by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to allow them to rebuild the market. A rampaging fire on March 21, 2025 touched the market as wares and structures housing the traders were destroyed in the fire. A decision by city authorities to lead the rebuilding effort was met with strong resistance by the traders, who insisted they wanted to self-fund the reconstruction. Head of Physical Planning at KMA, Benjamin Ejenim-Boateng, tells Joy News the Assembly has reached an agreement to allow the traders to reconstruct the market pending an approval of technical drawings and specifications provided by the authorities.
Hundreds of shops installed.
We apologize for not being able to bring you that. We'll definitely bring you that story in our subsequent bulletins. But The Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, is leading a charge for the fight against corruption, which he says has become a threat to Ghana's democracy. He bemoaned how the canker has become endemic and creeping into children at basic schools, as exposed in the latest GH Probe Joy News' latest documentary on examination malpractice in the 2025 BEC. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, listen to a member of the new National Ethics Anti-Corruption Action Plan Committee, Mary Ada, bemoaning Ghana's decline on the Anti-Corruption Index and the need for a comprehensive action plan to address the challenge.
According to Transparency International, where I work with as the chapter in Ghana, corruption remains an existential threat, and Ghana's fight against it has not been that effective, evidenced by the various scores in the past 5 years, citing 2020 to 2023, where Ghana scored 43, and in 2024, Ghana scored 42. This stagnation and decline is evident that corruption remains an insidious obstacle to equitable development, investor confidence, and citizens' trust in the governance process. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why the new National Ethics and Anti-Corruption Action Plan 2026 to 2030 is so crucial. It must not simply be a statement of our ideals, but should encompass the inclusive, practical, and measurable indicators by which all citizens would track to ensure delivery.
Well, my colleague James Savage is on standby to bring us more on this. James, tell me, there used to be what we call the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan. Have you been able to gather why the new program?
Yes, so this National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, which we all knew as NACAP, was a 10-year program which ran from 2015 and we are told terminated or expired in 2024. And so it is on the back of this that government thought that the program needed to be continued, but this time around, upon reflection, needed to be a new program needed to be drawn, which would also run between 2026 and 2030, a 5-year program. And so in July, actually July 3rd, 2025, the president, through the chief of staff, commissioned some 35 organizations spanning from national anti-corruption groups, the IOCO, OSP, SHRIDE, and all of that, numbering about 32, as well as over 60 individuals to do what we call a national stakeholder engagement across the country to draft a new action plan. This time around, the difference is that the name is now National Ethics Anti-Corruption Plan, and the ethic is the new addition to the name, and they have finished their work. The draft is ready, but they are undertaking a final stakeholder engagement here in Accra in order to get the final input, which would inform the final draft running from next year to 2030, MFR.
I see, James. Well, tell us about the Chief of Staff's position on the problem.
Yeah, so he came to launch the stakeholder engagement, and he also reflected on Ghana's decline on the Corruption Perception Index, and based on that, pointed out our latest documentary and how that depicts the decaying nature of our social fabric and the need for government to take action, committing to this, to fund it, and to see it through.
Right. Thank you so much, James, for bringing us updates from that. Please. In a powerful display of unity that transcended political divisions, the Techiman South constituency witnessed a rare sight this weekend. The governing NDC and the opposition MPP, led by the municipal chief executive and the member of parliament, put aside their differences, picked up brooms and joined residents for a massive cleanup exercise, declaring the President's National Sanitation Day campaign a resounding success. Anna Sabet is more.
It It was all hands on deck for the President's National Sanitation Day campaign here in the Techiman metropolis. But what made this exercise unique was the leadership. The Municipal Chief Executive, Honorable Ajay Mensah, an appointee of the governing NDC, stood shoulder to shoulder with the Member of Parliament from the opposition NPP, leading the charge not with words but with action.
It has been a very huge success so far as I am concerned. And more so, it has been apolitical. What I mean is, I was working in hand with the Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Martin Ajay Mensah and his regional chairman.
The MC, who lauded the other side of the coin for their participation, noted that the Assembly is set to activate a sanitation bylaw to help punish people who go about littering the environment.
Look at the equipment provided by Jimmy Lion and the Assembly itself and other individuals. We can continue with this. So we are going to reactivate the bylaws of the Assembly, led by our environmental officer. We have tasked him that he should let his voice go round to find out those who have maybe messed the areas, and they should sanction them. They should take them to court.
Beyond the symbolism, the move addresses a very real and growing problem: the alarming influx of filth in the bustling city. Member of Parliament Martin Ajay Mensah noted that cleaning alone is not enough. There must be a conscious effort to reduce waste generation across the area.
This is service to the community. You would agree with me that we are grappling with a lot of filth that is generated in our day-to-day activities, and it has become necessary to find other ways of dealing with it rather than just look up to government. There is a way to encourage the citizens to, on our own, engage in cleaning and also signal that we need to reduce our waste generation. Because if you look at the amount of plastic waste we've collected, all of these were generated by human beings and by us, I mean. And so it's become necessary to reorient or awaken people to the reality.
He also called for the provision of adequate waste bins across the city to help reduce littering.
What the city authorities, I think, have to do now is a good campaign that is being waged, that has a good potential, that can give us results. They may have to immediately provide bins around the principal streets and other vantage points in the communities, so that if people generate whatever solid waste, where the dump it is provided, it might minimize the throwing about in the community.
Key stakeholders like Zoom Lion, the waste management experts, were integral to the exercise. Their regional manager, Emmanuel Abasia, emphasized the scale of the challenge.
You know, we have continually saying that waste management or sanitation is a shared responsibility, and therefore the Assembly or the government alone cannot handle it. And therefore, we believe that they support, together with the citizens and the Assembly, we were able to achieve the sanitation research that the President wants to bring on board.
A clean environment, a united front, and a renewed sense of civic duty. The leaders of the Techiman South have set a powerful example, proving that collaboration can indeed sweep away both filth and political differences. Anna Sabit, Joy News, Techiman.
Well, from Techiman, I'll take you to the Ashanti region, where Day 2 of the Royal Burial Service for the late Asante Hima Nana Konadu III is expected to draw dignitaries from key sectors, including the judiciary, the Ghana Bar Association, security services, and financial institutions. The solemn ceremony taking place at the forecourt of the Mensah Palace will continue the traditional observances, honoring the Queen Mother, who's passing has drawn widespread mourning across the Asante Kingdom. Acting Chief Justice, court officials, legal practitioners, senior officers from the various security agencies, as well as representatives from major financial institutions, are anticipated to pay their respect. And my colleague Nanaya Boache joins us live from the grounds. Nana Boache, what's the live for the Day 2?
The forecourt
of the Mensha Palace, where we're having the second day of the Dotiye for the Asante Hima Nana Kunedu Yadom, the third, and it is another day where culture is being displayed beautifully at the Mensha Palace. We are having a countdown to the very end of this burial service, which is Thursday, where Kumasi will experience total silence. And you can see chiefs and queen mothers coming in their numbers. We would have over 60 paramountcies, that's various chiefs and various queen mothers, throng the Mensha Palace, the forecourt Jabrim, for day 2 of the Asante Hima's burial service. Today be the second day. We have various dignitaries trooping into the Mensha Palace to participate in the burial service. Today, individuals or dignitaries from the security agencies will be coming, including the Inspector General of Police, who is already seated here at the Mensha Palace. We have the judiciary also coming in to join the Asante Hine in mourning. We have the members of the clergy who are also going to participate in today's burial service. You can see that this place is very choked, because this very moment is when we have the Asante Hine Otumfo Osetutu arriving, and so the Asante Hine is coming out pretty shortly, and you can see that the rituals that have to be performed before the Asante Hine gets to the forecourt is being done right now, and that is how come you can see the Asante Hine in Kremo, known locally and being translated as the Asante Hine's Muslim ritualist, performing the rituals that have to be done. You can see the umbrellas in different folds, the umbrellas, big ones and small ones. That is how come we have the saying the chiefs and the paramountcies, those who hold high portfolio hierarchically, and those with small portfolio are all coming in their numbers. The ones with small portfolio are the small umbrella, and the paramountcies are the ones you see having the huge umbrellas, and that is how come they are all lined up right now, leading the Asante Hine's arrival to the forecourt of the Mensha Palace. Day 2 of the Asante Hima's burial service is what you see here. The team is leading the Asante Hine. They take the lead, inspect everything before the king himself gets to sit state. And that is how come you see all of them lined up in the procession coming in. Jabrim, the service. We earlier that the Asante Hima late is lying in state forecourt at her residence.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to finish that presentation by Nana Boachi. And of course, you want to stay with us because we'll bring you that. That's some culture with some precision. You're watching News Today. Please stay there, small.
Today's service. We're anticipating the arrival of the Chief Justice, because he forms part of the judiciary, and today the judiciary are the first people to pay homage to the Asante Hine. And so you see Otumfo Osetutu the second in your shot. He's out now. His Royal Majesty today is in his busy styled cloth. His Royal Majesty is out. We're trying to zoom so that we can show you the Asante Hine. Difficult for us to get there because the place is heavily crowded. But then you can see the Asante Hine from where we stand, proceeding to Jabrim. Gunshots and culture being displayed. His Royal Majesty is here. His Royal Majesty is here. The Asante Hine Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the occupant of the golden stool. The occupant of the golden stool, the man clad with gold and all royalty, seated beautifully and heavily. Above all, that is what they say when he is seated in his palanquin. And you hear people chant, Yasum now. You hear people chant Yasum Wewu, meaning they would worship him forever, even till death. That is Otumfuo, His Royal Majesty, the Asantehene Nana Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. Day 2 or day 2 of the burial service, the daughter year of the Nana Asantehene Nana Kunedu Yiadom III. The Asantehene now moves to sit and to welcome all dignitaries who today are in to pay their last respect to the late Queen Mother. The Asantehene now, we've seen that His Royal Majesty has made his way into Jabrim and he is seated. He's going to get seated. All cameras are up. Cameras are up. Everybody clad in black, red, brown. Everybody is up and standing as we all move to Jabrim to witness Asantehene sits in state. All those who matter today have made their way to the Menchia Palace for the Asantehene's or the Asantehene's burial service. And that is what is happening today at the Menchia Palace. We are witnessing culture being displayed. And you can see the Asantehene's Abrafo, heavy men, their own procession, their own style, coming in to join His Royal Majesty. So they are known culturally as the Asantehene's military. And in the olden days, in the times of war, it was their duty to lead the Ashanti Kingdom to all the war that it fought during the olden days. So Nananum in their numbers, Nananum Ahimanum in their numbers, all of them coming to the Menchia Palace. Today, we are witnessing beautiful display of culture here at the Menchia Palace. All the other chiefs would have to hurriedly get seated because the Asantehene has made his way to Jabrim. It will be difficult for you to go even as a paramount chief because the Asantehene is in. You don't get to sit down until he has done so. It is day 2 of Nana Kunedu Yiadom III's burial service here at the Menchia Palace. All the chiefs here form part of the Asantehene. Okay, and so we have Bafo and Kobiahene. The Bafo and Kobiahene coming. Bafo and Kobiahene also here. And so this is what is happening here at the Menchia Palace. Day 2 of Nana Kunedu Yiadom III's burial service. And so today too, we see the warlocks doing their thing again. Yesterday, they were here displaying culture, chanting, and that is what they have to do, because in the olden days, they were known or seen to be the leaders of war. And today, they have to do same. Painted themselves with clay. Painted themselves with clay. And all sort of things. And so we have the arrival of the Kumewuhine. I have this man join me here. Nana Kumewuhine neba no. Nana Kumewuhine ba. Medetini e won nkrofo we yomudi nanim.
De dey say sa Kumewuhine ne wofa be masafo twuno boko ne wofa bodwasen ni. Na brafo ne wom. Sa de we say yakoba bia na anko bia be ma wontimi ntuni nan. Be ma na chance die nie. Wu se kokko we ba no wu se be masafo twuno boko dua. Woni ne dom na eden.
Okay, so what he's saying is that if you see these warlocks, as we call them, painted themselves with clay, it tells you that the Kumewuman Hine is coming. And the Kumewuman Hine, Berima, plays a significant role culturally in the Ashanti Kingdom, because it is for his
Wow, such elegant culture in the Ashanti region as we mourn the Asante Hima. This is how we wrap the bulletin. Today is one of the days I do not want to wrap the bulletin, but please stay for Marketplace. Darrell is on standby.